Greetings from the Asian Productivity Organization Secretariat. Welcome to this Productivity's Talk, a series of discussion on the topics related to productivity. We are now broadcasting this talk live from Tokyo, Japan. Environmental impact as a consequence of ever-increasing industrial activities around the globe is a growing problem in the world we are living in today. Firms, companies, organizations actively engaging in green innovation can not only minimize production waste, but also increase their corporate reputation and increasing their profits, while at the same time satisfying their stakeholders' demands. So these, combined with the increased awareness regarding environmental issues, has encouraged organizations, firms, companies to use environmental management accounting, which has been proven beneficial to its user and giving the benefits such as an increase in innovation and larger benefits at the societal level, such as addressing climate change. So in this P Talk today, we will highlight ideas and practices how firms' environmental innovation capabilities can actually protect the natural environment as well as sustaining the firm's profitability. Some insights as well as experiences in the implementation of various productivity tools and techniques in minimizing waste in the production process will be discussed and shared. An example on the use of software in the waste accounting management will also be a part of this discussion today, including the highlight on examples of environmental innovations. To discuss further about this very important topic, we are joined today from Tehran, Iran, by Professor Esmaeil Fatehifar. Good afternoon from Tokyo, Professor Fatehifar. We are glad to have you here today in this talk.
Hello, everybody. Good morning from Iran. I'm Esmaeil Fatehifar from Sahand University of Technology.
So Professor Fatehifar is currently holding several positions. Among others, he is the president of Sahand University of Technology and a professor of chemical environmental engineering at the same university. He's also an APO certified green productivity specialist. He published a book on air quality in the 21st century. That was actually the title of the book, together with many other books and around 200 journals on environmental management standard. So before Professor Fatehifar will start with his sharing, I would like to inform to all viewers that today's session will be live and interactive. I'm inviting viewers to leave your comments and questions here in the live chat below on our YouTube channel. So, Professor Fatehifar, you may please start with your presentation and sharing.
Thank you very much. My presentation is about the environmental innovations for productivity. First of all, I want to thank the APO and NPO of Iran for their cooperation and letting me to have a presentation in this P Talk. Actually, I want to show an example. In usual life of ours, we, for example, eat an apple and we want to separate its peel, and you see every day, every time it's possible, we generate wastes. In past industrial practices, we had raw materials and energy goes to the process and we produce product, and also we had waste to the environment. After that, in recent industries, industrial practices, we have the same process, and we produce products, but because of the high value, huge value, and of the waste, we need to treatment the waste, and after that, we let them to go to the environment. In preferred industrial practices, we have the same process, but we want to, we had a recycle, reuse, reclamation, and other techniques for the waste and the use of them in the process or in other companies. And after that, the waste go to the treatment, and after that goes to the environment. For the future industrial practices, we wish we had no waste to the environment, and in this case, we have several innovations and the techniques like no waste projects, no flaring, no zero emission, and lean production, and like them. For these proposals, in international organizations like ISO developed several environmental standards, energy saving and consumption standards, and human resource management standards, and procurement and maintenance standards. All of them was for the letting the environment not waste affect that, and we had a good place for living. In this case, the sustainable development was defined, and you can see the concept of sustainable development meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So in this case, you can see we had a quality of life be raised, and also we had economic growth, and also use our nature as less. For this purpose, we need to change on production patterns and also consumption patterns, and it needs the new innovations. Several innovations proposed in different countries. These are till 2019. For example, the cow-free burger and carbon dioxide catcher, and like this GP and other projects developed in different countries. And the objective of all these innovations was to help the earth, help the environment be safe from our activities. One of the most important subjects was in this area is green productivity. Green productivity introduced by APO in 1994. It's a strategy for simultaneously enhancing productivity and environmental performance. Also, the combined application of appropriate productivity and environmental management. You can see in the slide that the GP connects the environmental protection and productivity enhancement. So in this case, we will have sustainable development and continuous improvement. Also, green productivity makes better quality of product, improves health and safety, increases profitability, raises morale, enhance company image, ensure regulatory compliance, and promotes environmental protection and leads to sustainable development. GP has several tools, for example, material balance, MFCA, I will talk more about that, material flow cost accounting, flow diagram, PFDA, EcoMap, and energy balance, and other tools we can use from them. All are in the case that we want to protect our environment and let the companies work, but with less waste. Also, GP techniques we use in implementing the GP tools, for example, changing input material change, process change, improve operating procedures, energy management. These are techniques we can use of them for reducing the waste and the waste minimization, and reducing the generation and production of waste. Reduce, reuse, recycle, design for environment, life cycle assessment, 7 waste, good housekeeping practices, lean production, total productive maintenance and value engineering, TQM, IMS, and green purchasing. These are techniques we use in different companies. And also, I can say that we cannot use all of them in all the companies. Based on the companies, we can use some of them, and we must select the best one. In this case, ISO generated another standard, 14051. It's based on MFCA, and it's a new standard for waste minimization and cost reduction in companies. Material flow cost accounting is one of the tools of the GP, and I think, based on my experience in several implementations and more than 10 years I'm working in this case and implemented in several companies, is very easy and actually we can say visual, has visual results in the companies, tracing and quantifying the flows and stocks of materials within an organization in physical units, for example mass and volume, evaluating the costs associated with those material flows, and applicable to any organization that use materials and energy. Also in, for example, other companies, APO published a book about MFCA case examples. You can see for more than 300 companies the results of implementation of MFCA. MFCA incorporates two distinct elements, physical and monetary. MFCA clarifies the waste and prices them. So MFCA concentrates on recycled streams and prices them, and other things you can see in the slide. In the slide, you can see the location and the importance of the material flow cost accounting, or MFCA. We have TPM techniques for about the human resource, IE, and we didn't have any standard method for the material flows. And MFCA covers this area, and it's visualized material losses to systematically make proper and innovative improvement plans from new point of view. In the slide, you can see the MFCA has focus on emissions, and it shows we lose money when we have produce waste in the companies and factories. Usually we think if we have environmental performance, we want to raise them, and it will need the cost, and the cost is increased with environmental performance. But MFCA shows it's not true, and we can have environmental performance, high environmental performance with the, decreasing the cost. In this slide, you can see comparison of MFCA and conventional methods. For example, you consider you have a company, you have inputs, for example, 100 kilogram, 100 ton, and everything. It comes to the company. You have a product designed. For example, you say if 100 kilogram comes to the company, it will be, for example, 80%, 90% to the product, and in actual, we don't have at least this, and we reach, for example, 70%, 75%. And all R&D departments of the companies working in this area, and they are going to improve the actual product level to the design. And this is the area we didn't think about this and disregarded fraction. But in MFCA, we say in this now we have, for example, 75% of the inputs goes to the product, and the remaining goes to the negative product or waste, and we must improve it until this line, and we convert 100% of the inputs to the products. This is the conventional method of calculating the prime cost of a product. You consider you have a process, it comes 95 kilogram materials as input, and you use the inventory 5 kilograms, and so 100 kilograms comes to the process. For example, it goes 70 kilogram for product and 30 kilograms per waste. In usual conventional methods, all of the costs go to the product, and you say, for example, I paid $1,000 to the input material, and the process cost was $90.30. Some of them will be $1,090.30 you divide that to the kilogram of the material product, and you say the base cost of the product is $27.5 per kilogram. And usually we say we have 30 kilogram waste, and we didn't consider any cost for that, and it is conventional. But the MFCA focuses on the waste, and this is the same example, but you can see when 30 kilogram goes to the waste, actually we paid for that as input material. So $1,000 paid for the input, 70% goes to the product, and 30% goes to the waste. We divided the $30 for energy system cost and waste management cost. You can see we use energy for all the input materials. So it divided 70% for product and 30% for waste, and also system cost. Your laborers workers work there in that company. You pay for them. You pay salary. You produce product or waste. So the cost of this part also divided between the product and waste. The waste management cost, you can say that if we didn't have any waste, we didn't have waste management cost. So it goes totally to the waste. And you see other numbers here. Total cost of the product is now 1,295, not 1,930. And the base cost is 18.5. And in this case, you see the exact cost of the waste. You see $634.5 goes to the waste, and it is important. And you see the base cost of the wastes are higher than the cost of product. And it's when we have this data, we will be able, and we want to reduce the waste production, and we will try to use new innovations and environmental innovations, productivity innovations for reducing waste. Actually, waste in companies type of losses in MFCA technique use are three types: theoretical losses, normal losses, and abnormal losses. And our target and objective is the patch of corrective actions from bottom to up. We will try at first reduce abnormal losses, and after that normal losses, and finally we are going to theoretical losses. MFCA was implemented in several companies in Japan, and it started in Japan. As I told, APO published a book about this. First, the company MFCA implemented in that was the Nitto Denko Corporation in Japan. After that, Ishida and Sanden and other companies. I bring here three of them, for example. In Nitto Denko Corporation, they had in 2001 68% positive products and 32% negative product. Negative product means all of the waste, solid waste, liquid, and gas. All of the waste except product, we will say negative product. In 2004, they raised their positive product from 68 to 78, and in 2011 to 90, and their target is raising it to 100%. In Ishida company, they used a solid aluminum member. It's one of their units. They cut it to small pieces, and this was the final product. Their quality center said their quality and their products efficiency is 99%. For example, one of them are not accepted for the quality center. But if you see here, many parts of this is cutted and turning and goes as a waste. So they turn the solid aluminum member as a hollow aluminum member, and now the inside part of this is free hollow, and so their waste decreased as for all time. In Sanden Corporation, you can see a company inside the forest, and we can have a company inside the forest without any environmental problems. They used all of the innovations and environmental techniques for in their company, and actually you can not see any waste, any emissions to the environment from this company. Actually, we implemented in this method in companies in Iran, and I was for the first company we implemented in Tabriz Petrochemical Company, a big petrochemical company. You can see the black flow diagram of Tabriz Petrochemical Company here. They produce several products, and in this case, in the slide, you can see the olefin unit. We had the olefin unit is the biggest unit of the Tabriz Petrochemical Company. Here, as you see, we have several inputs and several outputs, and also recycles. We considered as two quantity center, hot section and cold section, and we tried to determine and list the losses of the company, the units as theoretical, normal and abnormal losses, and it shows about the 70% of 30% of the inputs goes to the negative products in this unit. Also, by allocation of material cost on products, you can see here, for example, we had products, C4 cod, PG, CFO, and other products from this unit, and we also can allocate a cost for all the products in this method. Project outcomes in TPC, Tabriz Petrochemical Company, was MFCA material flow visualization in TPC, like finding underground line to flare. Actually, in olefin unit, we find a line. It was not in the PFDs and the BFD maps, and it was a new finding of this project, finding 70 billion tuman waste in Iranian currency in utility session, finding error on fit measurement system, 50% that their measurement systems had problem, and we find 5% error in their measurement, and they paid more 5% for the feed. Their feed comes from the Tabriz Oil Refining Company, and for example, they receive 95 kilogram, 95 ton, but they pay for 100 kilograms, and it was 5% extra. Introducing future projects for R&D of company. We produced several new projects for that company, and their R&D are going to work on it. After that, we implemented MFCA in Tabriz Oil Refining Company. Also, you can see here the black flow diagram of the one of their units, distillation unit. We considered 8 quantity centers for this unit, and also we get the positive and negative products. In this unit, they had 6% negative product. After that, we implemented in another polymer company, Arya Sasol, in South Iran. Also, they had olefin unit in this company. We implemented the MFCA for their olefin unit. You can see here it is similar to the Tabriz Petrochemical Company, hot section and cold section. We recommended several new techniques, new innovations for their company. For example, simulation of tower T403 and recommending change of feed tray. Profit $2.6 million per year, they will reach if they did change the tower feed tray. Also, another recommendation was about a new separation tower for separating of propylene from C3 flow, and also it recommended and overall mass balance for the company you can see here. Also the cost distribution on ethylene, for example, in this case you can take the price of a product, for example, how much comes from the input materials, how much is from the labor and other things. By help of NPO, we prepared a certificate for the companies. In them we implement MFCA, and this is one of the certificates NPO get to the Arya Sasol Polymer Company and other companies too. If after when the COVID-19 pandemic started in our country, actually we had some problems going to the companies, having meetings and like this, and site visits minimized or canceled, some of the internal meetings minimized, and like it was reduced our works and minimize our trainings and like this in this area. But we are trying to do also other implementation and other countries. After starting the COVID-19 pandemic, we started the implementation of MFCA in agricultural industries, in more than 20 agricultural industries, agricultural conversion industries, agriculture, and greenhouses. I show here some results of the implementation. In case study, you can see meat packaging, and we determined waste and their weight, cost, and some methods for reducing them. You can see here for this kind of companies, we need to use several, for example, knives in different types of the work, and actually we see in more times they use only one kind of knife, and it's not good for separating the meat from the bone. Also, we implemented it's in greenhouse case study you can see here, and we get them some recommendations and using the new environmental innovations for their company long-term solutions. We get them, and also general solutions, and you can see here. Also, we implemented in several kind of companies, for example, for production of Niku Tanpush, production of clothes, sand, soap, foundry, production of all parts of casting, and Govarab, manufacturer of herbal and mineral water filters, and like this. And we are trying, by help of NPO, implement it in several other companies. Actually, because we started the MFC implementation in petrochemical companies, and you saw that there are many lines as input and outputs. The calculation of MFC was difficult in using, for example, Excel files, and we introduced and we recommended generating and preparing MFC software. We did for first time in our country, and now it works in several companies. And when we implement MFCA in companies, also we give them their own MFCA software, and you can see here, for example, this is for Arya Sasol and other companies. All the calculations comes inside this software, and also you can compare the results after implementing some recommendations and compare the results after that. Thank you very much. I'm ready for, if you have any more questions, I'm here for answering. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Fatehifar, for the sharing. I think you have done a lot in that area in Iran, and perhaps there might also be connection beyond Iran. Let allow us now to go through this Q&A session. We received one question from Vietnam. Actually, I believe this is from Mr. Haidang. The question is about the COVID-19 pandemic has made us realize the significance of a sustainable supply chain. Um, do you think that MSCA can be utilized to make a supply chain greener and more sustainable? Your view on this, Professor Fatehifar?
Yes, actually, MFCA be able to implement it in supply chain, and I think the new standard 14052 is about the supply chain. 2 or 3 about this the supply chain, and sometimes if you want to decrease the waste in your company, you must do other work in the supply chain, and the companies prepare your, for example, feeds. If it's possible, I have a. Yes, I can show you a file, and in this case, we can you can see the effect of MFCA in supply chain. I have a file. I want to show you the effect of MFCA implementation in supply chain.
Yes, we are eager to know that. Please share
Okay.
the slide, Professor
I'm,
Fatehifar.
yes, I'm going to upload the file, and I will show you. If there is any other question, you ask, please, and after uploading, I will talk about that.
Okay, while waiting, I think let us go through another another interesting question that perhaps we can have as a start of our discussion. The first question is you mentioned several times about zero waste, you know, waste management and zero waste industrial practice. I think you mentioned it in there. So, what do you think? What would be the industrial practices in the future? Is zero waste industrial practices possible?
Actually, not 100%, I think, because we have some limitations in companies in processes. For example, in chemical industries, we use, for example, catalyst. Catalyst conversion is not usually 100%. It's less than 100%, 95, 90, 80, 75, and so the waste will be produced in companies. So we must have other techniques, other innovations. We can go. The 100% will be our wish, and we will try to reach that. But I think it takes many time, and also by generating other units, other facilities, for example, for treatment of the gases, for the treatment of the wastewaters. Also, we will have other problems in the future.
You mentioned about 95% reduction in zero waste. I think it's quite good enough, personally, in my mind. But how
Yes,
far is that? It's, let's say it's going to be the scenario in the future. How far are we going from that dream? You know.
I think we are. Time we have, for example, 60% of the our wishes, and
Right.
we have 40% distance.
Okay.
Now we can show the file. Now it's ready, I
Right.
think.
Please.
Just a moment, I show you the. Okay. Uh, Actually, MFCA was implemented in Canon Company too in Japan, and you can see they produce two kind of lenses. Their cutout material lens shows 98%, and the pressed material 99%. But actually, the input material for lens is this, and the final product is the this. So the green part is waste, not our actual efficiency is 98 or 99, but it's too less. For this case, you can see the MFCA calculations here, and it shows the around 72% of the input product goes to the waste. So they did some corrections, and now they produce the first input material like this, and this is done in the supply chain. They didn't do anything in their company. Before the company provide the materials, input materials for the Canon company, they did this. They cut these parts, and this part was as the waste too. So in the new technique and new innovations they did in the supply chain, they prepare cubics of that material, and by melting and pressing, they prepare this input material, and it converts to the lens in the Canon. So they can see the waste minimized, and actually we have zero waste in the first company, and also it helped the Canon they have less waste in their company, and this shows we can sometimes decrease our waste, minimize our waste by help of the cooperate companies and supply chain.
So thank you so much for showing us that, Professor Fatehifar. May we know when did we take place, this effort
What?
done by Canon? When did this happen, introduced for the first time? When? Which year?
With the Japanese company, with the MFC implemented in Japan by the Mr. Tachikawa in Nito Denko for the first time. And after that, in the Canon, Sanden, and other companies, it was implemented.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing us that. Now we have the proof that greening supply chain is actually possible using MFCA. You just showed one of the example. So let me go through to the next question that I have for you. So COVID-19 pandemic has somehow changed the production and consumption pattern. We know it. So do you think that those changes can bring us to a greener, more sustainable production and consumption practices, meaning that the transformation of the production and consumption taking place during the pandemic, it was actually better for us in terms of bringing us toward more sustainable, let's say, future. What do you think about this?
It's difficult answering to this question in general, because when COVID-19 pandemic started, using the antibacterial and the disinfection materials was increased, washing hands, water consumption was increased more and more, washing hands and washing foods, fruits, vegetables, and everything. When we wanted to use them, we washed them sometimes for several times. And also we used some disinfection materials in this case, and also using masks, using single use gloves and other things. Actually, the production of the waste was increased. The production of wastewater was increased, and these are influence the environment, and so it affects the sustainability and greener. But in future, I think they will help us be ready for example, for this kind of evidence and in this case, perhaps it helps us to be going to the sustainability and greener. But in this time, I think it's no.
All right. Thank you for that. The next question that I have is that you mentioned, I think in one of your presentation, one of the pages there, you mentioned about the confluence between environment and socio-economic progress. The economic development, the industrial kind of advancement, those kind of thing. So, what is actually the biggest threat to the world's natural resources? Is it the population growth, which actually trigger those economic development, this manufacturing activity? So what do you think, Professor Fatehifar?
Actually, I think the biggest threat for the world is less knowledge of people about environmental problems. If we must increase on work on productivity culture. For example, if you need you prepare, you buy things as you need, you don't buy any extra things, you don't use any extra things, uh, if you go to the restaurant, you go to family home or other places, you eat, you don't let remain any food, for example, in your plate and other things. In this case, we will use less and less from the natural resources, and in this case we can help to grow the population, and population growth totally will not be the biggest threat of the world.
Thank you so much. We hear you. It's not the population growth, but it's actually some other things, the way we produce, perhaps the way we consume, that's not really sustainable. The next question is about the innovation. We are talking about the environmental innovation in here. So I would like to ask you about, is the society, our society in general, innovative enough to overcome the environmental degradation caused by the economic progress? In other words, I would like you to provide with your view on whether the current level of environmental innovations is sufficient enough to bring us toward sustainable future. So what do you think about this, Professor Fatehifar?
Actually, I think we must work hard and harder and propose new innovations. And I think it must be continuous. For example, we don't say if we have 10, 100, thousands new innovations, it will be enough for us, and we must work, and our work must be continuously and developing new innovations for the world.
So the point is that, according to you, that innovation is a continuous work, something that we need to keep doing it as a society in general, so then we will be able to provide the solution to whatever challenge that the society would face in the future. So thank you for that. So my next question is actually about the connection between MFCA and circular economy. So in what way MFCA as an environmental management accounting tool that simultaneously assess company materials and financial flows will contribute to circular economy? Your view, please.
This is a good question. Actually, I have a PhD student working on the combination of MFCA and circular economy. And I think MFC is, I think circular economy is included in MFCA. And if we want, if we implement MFCA in the companies, we can say we implemented the circular economy too. And we are going to show in actual case in a company, in big company in Iran, and we get the data and we are working on it. And I hope in future we publish the results.
So looking forward to the result from you, perhaps in another opportunity we could have kind of to see the real connection between MFCA and a circular economy. My next question is about um, um, material lost. This is still about how a company should manage their waste management practices. So some of the material loss or waste can simply be reduced actually through the application of management techniques such as Kaizen or some other type of material loss tools. But some other type of loss would require more complex innovation and investment. So changing the way we manage the wage is doesn't really necessarily reduce the loss. Sometimes we need also perhaps to redesign the factory floor and perhaps to make another investment. So is there any real example where a simple sustainable management, the application of it, can provide long-term solutions in the management of material waste in a company? Professor
Yes,
Fatehifar.
yes. As I showed in my slides about the aluminum, hollow aluminum, you see by changing the aluminum from the first shape to the final shape, hollow aluminum material, the waste in that company was reduced for this continuous time for the final and until the company works, we can say that we don't have more waste in this case. And for example, the waste minimized or reduced, for example, 70% in this case. In some companies, it's possible.
So it is actually possible, and you have shown the proof of that. So thank you for that, Professor Fatehifar. So my next question is actually about the plan design of the production process. So what type of planning and design of the production process and management that would reduce waste along the way in the production process?
Actually, I recommend for the company managers, they use the simple methods like MFCA. MFCA is too applicable and easy for implementing in companies. And also GP tools. First, I recommend MFCA, and after that, the other techniques I showed in the slides as GP tools. They help the companies for their management, environment management, and reducing the waste and also rising the productivity.
So my next question is about asking advice for SMEs. What would be the main three factors that, let's say, manufacturing SMEs needs to have in order to make their production process close to zero waste? Professor Fatehfar.
About the previous question, I also want to say the rising the awareness about the waste and environments also will be help in the companies. For this question, uh, actually using you're upgrading the new facilities and upgrading their equipments in the companies will help for the waste minimization. So the next one is also raising awareness of the workers, managers of the company about the sustainability, productivity, green productivity, and subject like this. If we raise their awareness about the subjects, I hope they will obey that, and I will do some things for reducing waste. And also considering and implementing GP tools, GP techniques, and other techniques like GP and new innovations now available in the world, and we can use of them. Three more important, I think, works we can do for the companies, and it will be help.
So, throughout your professional experience, have you ever been involved in advising SMEs in their waste management? What was the biggest challenge?
Excuse me, pardon?
I was asking whether you have been involved in assisting SMEs in improving their waste management. If you have ever been involved in that kind of a project with SMEs, what was the biggest challenge that you faced?
In SMEs, as I saw and visited them, most of the companies in our country, I think I visited Taiwan and saw some companies. Their facilities is and equipment is old, and also most of the managers of the SMEs, their knowledge is not they're not educated, or some educated, and for example they cannot adapt their companies with the new facilities, new techniques, for example the software for digital and like this. And I think the government must help them and educate them and help them to implement, and for buying the new facilities, and also educating of them and learning how they use the digital equipments and like this. I think it's the biggest problem of the SMEs in our country.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Professor Fatehifar. This is will be my last question to you in this discussion. So at this present state, MFCA may be generated, MFCA that that has been proven to generate improvement or change, you know, in the manufacturing system. They're mostly based on the practical experience and knowledge of the managers and workers. So, what would be the potential of combining MFCA with another concept and techniques such as data analytics and computer science? Is there any example that you can share with us in here about that?
Actually, as I showed in the last slides of my presentation, I said that we prepared a software for the MFCA, and it shows that the data analysis and using the computer science will be help in implementing the MFCA and other techniques of GP in companies. And I'm very I accept and I agree for the combining the data analysis and for example in area social they had an ERP system. They had some data from the different units, and we generate our software in combining with their ERP, and it gets the data from their ERP and do the MFCA calculations, and after that also we send the results to their ERP, and their managers only use one software, and I think it's too good.
So thank you for all the sharings, your experience, your knowledge on these particular topics, Professor Fatehifar. Allow me now to request you to conclude, to provide the viewers and us with the key messages of your sessions, please.
Thank you very much. Actually, in my experience in implementing our environmental innovations like GP tools, MFCA, and like this, I think APO, NPO, and other related organizations, it's better help the companies for the implementation of these tools. And also governments help the research about the new innovations, especially environmental innovations and productivity innovations in companies. We need them, and helping and paying for that. I think it's good for the future of the world and our life and our children's in the future. I think it's too good. Thank Thank you very much.
So thank you once again for that, Professor Fatehifar. I would like also to thank the viewers for their engagement. I think we can see some of the viewers are there joining, participating at this talk. If you still have comments and questions, please leave them on our YouTube channel anytime, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, as soon as we could, with the response, hopefully from Professor Fatehifar. So I'm sure that Professor Fatehifar will be very happy to provide us with the answer to your questions. Once again, I would like to express our gratitude, our deepest gratitude to Professor Fatehifar and also the NPO of Iran for the organization, the preparation of this particular talk on this particular topic, and also for Professor Fatehifar for sharing his time and experience with us. So if you would like to receive update on the future APOP talk and any other update related to APO, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you in the APO productive talk. Thank you so much.